Update. Am I the a-hole for insisting my mother choose a side between me and my brother? Original post. This happened a few years ago but is still a major issue in my family. I, 25 female, am the youngest and only girl of my siblings. My mom, 50 female, and I live in a different state and decided to visit home. And my oldest brother, 31 male, offered to house us with his family. The first night there, my mom went out with some old friends, and my brother and his girlfriend, 32 female, asked to hang out with me in their home for the night. After their kids, 4 kids between the ages of 9 months and 12, went to bed, we started drinking and talking about random things since this was the first time I had actually met his girlfriend and spent time with her. While talking, his girlfriend asked about our childhood and what he was like as a kid. I answered honestly, he was a bad kid. He ran away. He spiked our mom's boyfriend's drinks with bleach. He fought at school almost daily. And he was suspended constantly until he dropped out. Something I thought was funny to joke about was not funny to him, and he got angry. My brother's girlfriend and I laughed it off. We were all very drunk at this point, but I could tell he was getting angrier and angrier. Then he asked me, if I just punched you right now, it wouldn't be funny, would it? Again, drunk me laughed it off, thinking we were just talking about our lives and childhoods. We were not abused or neglected as children, so I truly didn't see this as me laughing at traumatic events or making fun of him. And then in a split second, he punched me, over and over. I remember protecting myself as I fell, getting back up, and throwing anything in front of me as I tried to move out of the way. Then I was back on the floor, mouth bleeding, disoriented, and crawling to the couch for help. The kids ran into the room, scared and crying, and his 9-month-old was crying hysterically. He was screaming and yelling at his girlfriend, "It's not funny, it's not funny," as she tried to calm him down. He even saw me on the couch crying and bleeding, threw a cup of alcohol in my face, and called me a bitch. Then he said, "I hope you know you're gonna freaking die tonight." I remember running into the bathroom and locking the door. I heard him searching desperately for a knife in the kitchen drawer. I called my mom as I hysterically cried and told her he was going to kill me, and she begged me to open a window and run. He began banging on the door, describing how he was going to stab me and gut me as I tried to open the window. I think I even accepted at this point that I was dead and just pondered how it would feel. And then he stopped. I waited and realized my mom had begun breaking down the door to get to me because he was looking for a new knife to kill me with. After this, I went to the hospital, and although I had no broken bones, I was bleeding and my entire face was bruised and cut. I pressed charges against him, and after almost 3 years, he was caught on a separate charge, and now the case is moving forward this month. My mom, in her opinion, has tried to stay neutral, but I think in her way of staying neutral, she has taken his side. She has told me that being beaten was a consequence of saying rude things to him, and that I've already won because he's been in jail for months and should drop these charges since he's facing other criminal charges. Yesterday, I blew up and cried and told her she was stupid and dumb for ever suggesting that I get over this, and I can't believe she would want to be neutral and not take my side. She hung up the phone, and we have not talked since. I feel like I might be the a-hole because I don't have kids and I don't understand what she might be going through having to choose between us. It's also important to mention my brother has previously been diagnosed with a mental illness and has done violent behavior like breaking windows, stealing, going on car chases from police, and fighting before. So I feel like our family has become so immune to his behavior that me pressing the issue and demanding accountability is making everyone uncomfortable. But I also feel like her seeing what I looked like after he beat me, hearing me describe what it felt like and how it has damaged me, I've been diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety, should automatically make her take my side and support my decision to take this to court. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. I stopped reading after the very first sentence. Not the a-hole. If one child is a sociopath who tries to stab people, clearly she should be on the other kid's side. Thank you for responding and for your honesty. Part of why I made the post is because for the last couple of years, multiple family members have told me that expecting my mom to choose a side is irrational, and that I should stop pushing this, drop the charges, and handle this as a family. After the argument with my mom, it really started making me question whether I am being irrationally biased and the a-hole for bringing this situation up for so long and making her choose between us. I really thought people here were going to tell me I was letting my emotions blindside me and that I'm the a-hole for yelling at my mom and pushing for her to make a clear stand because I've been hearing it for years now. But hearing the opposite from so many people is actually mind-boggling, and I needed it. If the cops were called, they would recommend the DA press charges themselves, and the kids would be removed from the home since he's a psychopath. In my moment of panic, I didn't call the police. I just called my mom for help, and she took me to the hospital. I went to the police the next day, and they basically did nothing until I got a phone call a few months ago that he was arrested for something else. The DA did apologize and said he had no idea how this case slipped between the cracks and why it took so long for him to be arrested. The kids are still in the home and he is still with a girlfriend. Now for the update. As the trial started approaching, my family started pressuring me heavily to back out. My mom told me that I should let this go because my brother has suffered enough by losing his girlfriend, his kids, and facing time in jail for other charges. She says I'm pushing too hard and that my testimony will send him to prison rather than letting him finish his time in jail, even though I didn't ask for jail time. I requested a plea deal that focused on probation, a mental health evaluation, and mandatory medication adherence. I just wanted him to get help, and even that was too much. She also told me I'm contributing to what black men go through, which feels incredibly manipulative, considering she has never once asked me what I need to heal or how this has affected me. Everything is about my brother, his image, and how to keep him out of prison, not about what I experienced or what helps me feel safe. My brother had someone post on social media about him getting released soon, not happening, and my mother commented and said, "Can't wait for you to be home soon." So a side was clearly chosen here, and it's not mine. And then it got worse. My mom, father, and grandmother have all reached out trying to get me to drop the case. My father, mind you this is my father, not my brother's, since we're half siblings, told me, "It's not like your brother molested your kids or killed your husband." As if those are the only two scenarios that justify testifying. He said I'm ruining the family and making myself look bad by going forward. Then I found out my mom gave my father the name of my prosecutor without telling me, and they emailed the prosecutor pretending I had changed my mind about testifying because it wasn't really a big deal. Thankfully, the prosecutor reached out to confirm, and I told him it wasn't true. Trial was this morning, and my brother decided to plead guilty and ask for the time served, and I was not allowed to testify. I felt like it was another thing he stole from me. My mental health, my feelings of safety, the love for my family, and now he took my moment of confrontation. However, he's back in jail because he is still awaiting sentencing for 11 other charges and facing decades in prison. I called my mother afterward and told her I didn't testify and that I knew she emailed the prosecutor. She denied it and said she had nothing to do with it, but was happy my father did it nonetheless. She said I sided with the system and contributed to another black man in jail and should be ashamed of myself, and then hung up. I texted her and said I still loved her and that I wished one day we could go back to being best friends again because I miss her. She hasn't responded. So much for neutral, right? Thank you for all the kind words and to everyone who told me they had been through something similar. My brother has taken so much from me, and I feel alone, defeated, and empty. Part of me is happy this is over, but the cost of losing my family is something I never even considered when he attacked me 3 years ago. I don't know how I will pick up the pieces or get through this immense sadness, but I will try. How awful. Did he have other charges against him unrelated to what happened to you? Yes, he has about 11 other charges unrelated to me, including having a weapon as a felon. Actually, he never even went to jail for my charges until this year when he was caught on the other charges, and they realized he had a warrant for his arrest for almost 3 years that they did nothing about. So even if you agreed not to testify, he would still be going to prison, it sounds like. Not to mention, you can't just drop charges. That's in the hands of the prosecutor. Are they blaming you for everything? I'd get far away from your family. They suck. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I confirmed before court that my testimony wouldn't have any impact on the other charges, and I was told that the other charges were so severe that it was unlikely a judge would even care about what happened today. And even then, that wasn't enough reassurance for my mother. She said it didn't matter that I didn't actually testify, but wanting to is the same as actually doing it. Not the a-hole. Would she rather have you 6 feet underground just so her precious boy can roam free torturing others? Does she realize he will hurt you or someone else again? Yes. He does have a history since his childhood of being violent, and he will absolutely hurt someone again if he is released. And considering how they are treating you now, you might not be able to survive his next attack. I'm a mother myself. There is so little I won't do for my kids. If any of my kids does what your brother did, not just to their siblings but anyone really, I'd be the one kicking them straight into the jail. Your mother doing him a disservice by downplaying his behavior. And she is a horrible person, and you are better off without her. Other people have said this to me, and I asked her that once before. If he had killed me, would you be testifying on his behalf? She's never answered me. She just changes the subject or rolls her eyes. I never considered until I posted on here that he would try to hurt me when he got out. My mother has literally told me before that he is still welcome in her home, and there's nothing I can do about it. So yes, she is willing to sacrifice me, and that's hard for me to admit and think about. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not personally telling my sister-in-law my husband and I have decided to stop fostering? My husband and I, both late 30s, had fostered children for a number of years. We have 3 young children together, and we always kept them in mind while we fostered. We made sure to limit the number of kids we fostered at a time, so nobody was displaced. 5 years ago, we had a lovely 2-year-old boy placed in our care. We were told he was likely going to be adoptable in the coming years, and were asked if we would be interested. We were absolutely on board with this if it should ever happen. 3 years into fostering him, we were told that his biological mother was agreeing to give up all parental rights and allow him to be adopted. Our foster son bonded with all of us, and we all bonded with him. The kids saw him as a brother. We saw him as our son, and he saw them as his siblings and us as his parents. We had actually started the process to adopt him a few months ago when the rug was pulled out from under all of us. The caseworker decided to remove him from our home and place him with a couple who were looking to foster to adopt. It was devastating, and he didn't want to leave. We asked for reasons why the decision was made, and the caseworker said it had been decided that he would be better placed with parents who did not have any children. I did push back some and brought up how bonded he was with us all and how excited he was for the adoption. I told her it would devastate him. She said he would recover and all would be fine, that he was young, and that they felt this was the best decision no matter how much he wanted to be with us and we wanted him with us. The thing is, with fostering, we always knew something like that could happen. But we never realized once the adoption process had started after parental rights were terminated that it could happen. This was devastating for all of us, and my husband and I agreed we could not risk this again. So we stopped fostering. It was a difficult decision because we loved helping kids. We loved offering them a safe space, but we couldn't hurt our kids again, and the risk was too big considering how badly this was all handled. It wasn't even us who first mentioned adoption to our now former foster son. It was the caseworker. I'm going off on a tangent right now. Sorry. We didn't say anything to our families for a while, and when we did, we told a few people who spread the news for us. One of those was my brother, and he told his wife, sister-in-law. Sister-in-law was angry that I didn't tell her directly myself. She was a foster kid and had been very supportive of us fostering. When she found out, she said I owed it to her to tell her face to face, and how dare I stop like that when I could help so many others. I explained to her the reasons, but she did not want to hear them. She said there are kids out there with nothing, and I'd rather protect kids who have everything. She has mentioned at least 3 times by now that I should have told her directly, and that I'm an a-hole for not doing so. Am I the a-hole for that? Not the a-hole. She can foster herself. Nobody is stopping her. She could, but she told me before she couldn't bring herself to foster because she wants to have kids biologically connected to her. Wow, what a hypocrite she is. What a piece of work. Not only is she absurd for expecting people to personally shuffle to her doorstep and explain themselves about deeply private decisions, she's also a raging hypocrite. So sorry for your family's loss when the adoption process was stopped by the caseworker. That does not sound like the child's best interests were prioritized. Your sister-in-law might have strong feelings about fostering since she was a foster child, but she sounds very reactive and presumptuous to be so adamant that you should have told her directly. Why does she think you owe her an explanation? She sounds ridiculous. You and your husband are making the decisions that are right for your family. It's really not your sister-in-law's business. You are not the a-hole. I don't think so, and neither does my husband. It really shook our faith in the system, given he was settled and happy with us, and excited to be adopted and had been told, only for him to be taken away and we couldn't do anything to stop it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to adopt my niece after my sister died? I, 34 female, have 5 children, ranging from 3 to 14. My husband and I are financially comfortable. We have a big enough house, savings, and stable jobs. We've worked really hard to build this life. And while it's a blessing, it also means we're constantly juggling a full schedule. Between school activities, appointments, emotional check-ins, and just day-to-day parenting of 5 kids, I often feel like I'm running on fumes. My sister passed away very suddenly from a brain aneurysm. It was a complete shock. She left behind her 9-year-old daughter. The child's father is not in the picture and legally relinquished rights years ago. Now the question of who will raise her has landed on my lap. CPS reached out to ask if we'd be willing to adopt her. We have the room, we have the money, and emotionally, I do love my niece. But the honest truth, I don't think I have the capacity. My days are already stretched razor thin. Bringing in another child, especially one who is deeply grieving, feels like something that would push me beyond my limit, and that terrifies me. I offered to take her in temporarily while a long-term placement is found, but I was met with backlash from my family. They say I'm the only one who can take her because no one else has the space or the financial means. My mother cried and said I'm letting my sister down. Other relatives flat out refused, citing their own financial or health struggles. I'm being painted as selfish, cold, and heartless for not stepping up. But I genuinely believe that just having enough money isn't the same as having enough time, patience, or emotional energy. I want what's best for my niece, and I worry that adding her to a house that's already stretched thin might not be that. Still, she's here now. She's quiet, grieving, polite. She barely speaks. And every night, I lie awake wondering if I'm making the right decision or if I'm just protecting myself at her expense. Am I the a-hole? You need to look at the survivor benefits possibility and maybe even take some time and hire some extra help. If it isn't the form of an extra child carer, maybe someone to help with cleaning and other house duties. You say you can afford it, but you are close to burnout, then actively hire help. It will help you long term. And let all their relatives know that, even if they can't take her in, they need to step up and give you extra support. Babysitting, cleaning, driving kids to school or practice, whatever they can offer. I am sorry for you. I lost a sister a couple of months ago, so I understand. Your niece needs to know someone who loves and wants her. The last thing she needs is to be put in unfamiliar surroundings at this time. Yes, I understand your situation and that you're at your limits. You got some good advice here. Possibly hire help for you and all the kids. Get her survivor benefits started. Then get counseling for her and you. Best of luck. No a-holes here, but honestly, the stretch from 5 to 6 is negligible. I think your niece will do much better in the long run, surrounded by her cousins and family who love her, rather than being handed over to strangers. Financially, should she be receiving some sort of benefits due to her mother's passing? Look into that. And good luck. Please find it in your heart to let her stay.